everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Data Partnership. So today I'm going to show you a presentation about groundwater, means what are the guidelines, notifications, and why these are important because India is one of the most groundwater abstraction country, right? Basically, we are the users of groundwater. So we are on the top globally, and you know that we have very limited fresh water, so groundwater is one of the main fresh water sources. So because in last few years, groundwater is abstraction extraction is too much, so that's why to control that, lots of discussion happened globally. So to tackle that, government or Ministry of Jal Shakti and Central Groundwater Board, they have created one authority called Central uh, Groundwater Authority. So let's start it. So since it is the guidelines is 624 page, so there are many things, means all the steps from where it started and a lot of things mentioned in this. So I thought, this is one of the major aspect of water security. So I thought in my previous video related to groundwater, I showed you that how what are the data source, groundwater data source. So one of the India worries, I showed you how to download that data, time series data for a particular well or the station, groundwater monitoring station, right? So of course there will be many more on this. So I thought before that, uh, uh, I need to show you why these CGWA guidelines are required. So Central Groundwater Authority was constituted under the Environmental Protection Act 1986 to regulate and manage groundwater development and use in India. So why these are required? Because groundwater depletion, unregulated abstraction, protection of drinking water sources, pollution control, uniform regulatory framework promoting recharge and reuse. So why NOC? NOC means rules to CGWA guidelines is rules to protect and manage groundwater sustainability. NOC is permission required to ensure that groundwater withdrawal doesn't harm the environment or local users. Basically, the water is main priority is the drinking water and then agriculture. So apart from that, because to use of sustainable water, groundwater use, so that's why this NOC is required. So we'll come to that. So why NOC is no objection certificate is required? I already told you that this is a legal requirement for groundwater abstraction by industries, infrastructure, or mining projects. Because what happens is most of the industries, that they are water intensive industries like beverages, food and beverages, and dyeing or power plants. They need, uh, of course, cooling plants, and a lot of you know a lot of industries needs water. Every industry, most of the industries needs water. So how to regulate that? This is the major aspect. Otherwise, if there is not regulation, then they will abstract a lot of water, right? So basically, these are the main point: regulate extraction, right? To NOC define how much water can be withdrawn from which aquifer or what recharge obligations. This is important. Ensure sustainable use. To NOC process required applicants to conduct groundwater impact assessment, identify recharge measures, or often commit to rainwater harvesting or artificial recharge. Basically, to run the industry, water is also required. So we cannot say that you will not use water. So how to use that? It's a give and take thing, right? So then to verify location category, so how I yesterday in the presentation I showed you that if you download the data from groundwater data from their website. So there are categorization means block wise, like is state district assessment unit is mainly the block. So whether it is safe, unsafe, or critical, semi critical, there are a lot of categories like semi safe, semi critical, critical, or over exploited. So based on that, they gives the permission to prevent conflict and misuse, right? So and to ensure compliance and monitoring. So basically, through NOC, CGWA can require installation of digital flow meters, submission of water use data, periodic renewable, allowing effective tracking. So it doesn't mean that if NOC is given and then there is no guarantee whether they will use the thing, use the proper guidelines or not. So that's why this installation of flow meters are also required. Basically, the use of technologies, right? So that they can anybody the decision making authorities can or the regulation authorities can track the data, right? So summaries main points of latest CGWA guidelines in 2020, updated periodically 2023 for a groundwater regulation and NOC issuance, right? So applicability, I already told you that this will apply for industries, infrastructure project, mining project, and water intensive units, except individual domestic user. For domestic user can extract the water, but so existing user and new applicant both need to comply. So it is applicable for both the people who are already taking the groundwater or who are planning to take the water. So it will apply for both. So area of categorization, groundwater assessment units, I already told you, safe if extraction is less than 70% of recharge, that's fine. Semi-critical 70 to 90% extraction, critical overexploited or notified area. So the government has already notified some areas. So level of restriction increases from safe, overexploited, and notified. It will be work like that. So summary is, so what we need is a requirement of NOC. We need NOC. So NOC mandatory for industries, mining, all the infrastructure project, commercial user like package drinking water like Bisleri or Aquafina or other hospitals, hotel, everything who are using groundwater commercially, right? They are using commercially. So it is not required for individual domestic use for household borewells, agriculture use by farmers, government water supply agencies, right? So fourth is conditions for grant of NOC like rainwater harvesting and recharge. So compulsory for all. This is compulsory for all. Design must ensure recharge structure proportional to water use because lots of rains are happening. So how to recharge the groundwater? There are techniques. They have to do that. Implementation within 90 days of NOC. Once they get the NOC, then within a 90 days they have to install these things. Water conservation and reuse. Industry must adopt water efficient technologies and reuse treated wastewater. So I will come in this. This is the vast subject, so we'll come into that also. So packaged drinking water and beverage unit must achieve at least 20 to 50% recycling reuse depending on category. And monitoring. This is most important part. Monitoring means digital flow meter and telemetry system must be installed on abstraction structure, right? Means wherever those are the wells, or whether it is industry, hospital, infrastructure project, or any mining thing, then they have to install flow meter at that abstraction structure. So online submission of that data also used to supply to the portal every year, so that government can track on that. Validity, NOC is validity for 3 years for existing one, 2 years for new projects. So renewable based on compliance review and water audit, they have to do the water based on the water audit, they have to renew the things. Then prohibitions and restrictions, right? So no new NOC are granted in notified area. Notified area where government already notified those areas and severely overly exploited, right? Except for drinking water and government supply. And packaged drinking water units are banned in overexploited area. This is important. So in semi-critical or critical area NOC may be issued to with strict condition and recharge obligation. So there everything has mentioned in this document. It's a vast one. So but these are the main point what I am showing you. So we will come to in this will be a series of groundwater so related to groundwater. So I will come with more detail. So submission requirement, every applicant must provide project details, hydrological report, site plan, water balance study, groundwater recharge proposal, consent from State Pollution Control Board, detail of existing obstruction structures, if any. So monitoring periodic inspection by CGWA or district authorities. Since what is the one important thing is that water is state subject. So CGWA created one guidelines. So they have issued it to state government. So state government can modify it basically based on their own local environment, based on their local environment. So it doesn't mean that whatever government has given, so they have to use, they have to apply that. But there are few states they are using central groundwater authority guidelines only. They did not create their own because every government has, state government has groundwater department. So but like Uttarakhand and a few other places, they are, you know, they are using central CGWA guidelines only, right? So monitoring, so they can, so it depends on CGW or state groundwater board. So they have to monitor and inform. Their responsibilities monitoring and enforcement. So non-compliance, NOC revocation, fines, and possible closure notice under Environment Protection Act. Then encouragement of sustainable practices. So incentive for rainwater harvesting and treated wastewater use. There are some programs like on this. Promotion of groundwater recharge project, aquifer mapping for sustainable management. There are reports on sustainable means this aquifer mapping and groundwater recharge project. So anybody can use that. So summary is that category there are lots of category. NOC yes allowed for every only notified area they don't use the NOC. So major condition is rainwater harvesting, reuse, monitoring is the make these the key. So, in the guidelines, basically they have mentioned these industrial uses, infrastructure project, mining project, packaged drinking water, beverage unit, domestic users, agriculture, government, and community water supply agencies. There is one separate guideline for bulk water, right? So this I will come with a separate presentation on that. So this is water users key in NOC condition and example. This is just to like if industrial unit is there, some key NOC condition. Rainwater harvesting recharge structure is mandatory. Reuse recycle 20 to 50% of treated water. Installation of digital flow meters. I will come with this also. What are the specification of digital flow meters? Submission of annual water audit compliance report. They have to do the water audit every year and compliance report also. And prohibited in over exploited area except essential use, right? So typical example are food and beverages factories, textile unit, chemical, cement, steel, pharma, paper, distilleries. Infrastructure for infrastructure project, NOC required for both construction phase and operation phase. Mandatory rainwater harvesting, reuse of treated water, flushing, gardening, and HVAC. Recharge plan proportional to project area. Digital monitoring of borewell. Right. This is flow meter. I will come on this. Group housing societies, IT park, hospital, malls, hotel, airport, metro, everything, right? Mining project, mandatory hydrological study required, modeling also required, reuse, recycling of mine water, artificial recharge around lease boundary, flow meter, telemetry, this is also important again. So coal mines, iron ore, bauxite, limestone, stone, all kind of mining, right? NOC valid up to mine lease period. So packaged drinking water, most strictly regulated. Reuse more than 50% of treated wastewater. Comprehensive water audit mandatory. Not permitted over exploited and notified area. Strict recharge. Bottled water plants, soft drink water breweries. So domestic users, individual users, household NOC not required for individual water use. Must follow local laws for borewell construction. Rainwater harvesting recommended. This is recommended, not means essential. Individual homes, small residential plots. Agricultural user not NOC not required under CGWA. and encouraged to adopt water efficient practices, drip sprinkler, subject to state level regulation. Farmers using borewells or tube wells for irrigation. So similarly, government communities generally exempt from NOC must adopt rainwater harvesting and recharge scheme for public drinking water supply, like Jal Board, PHED, municipal water departments. So this is a summary of users and NOC requirements. So basically, industry, infrastructure, mining, and packaged drinking water, they required this NOC, strict reuse, recharge norm, for infrastructure project, temporary in operation NOCs, and mining hydrological assessment is required, and this is highly scrutiny for packaged drinking water. So that's it, guys. So what I'm uh, try to show you that why this regulation, what are those regulation, why this is important, right? So we need a awareness on this. Of course, most of the industries and nowadays lots of government program is going on. So, but so but to understand this and what are the technologies, how they are working, and what are other technical things we need to consider, that I will come to. I will create videos on that also. I hope this is informative for you guys, and if you like it, please comment in the box, and also description box or comment box, and also write to me that whether what kind of presentation or information you are looking for. Thank you. Thank you very much.